the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Good evening to the folks at home. Tonight, excuse me, Mindy Kimball is going to introduce us to a gentleman from South Nyack Village. Is that a village, South Nyack? And Nyack's a village also, correct? Okay. He's going to tell us, and I'm assuming that in South Nyack, you've established this community choice aggregation. Good. Community choice aggregation is defined by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency as any program that allows local government to procure power on behalf of their residents, businesses, and municipal accounts from an alternative supplier while still receiving transmission and distribution from their existing utility provider. Now, the benefits are most certainly cost savings. And with that being said, Mindy, would you introduce the gentleman for us, please?
Yes, sir, I would love to. So I am here to introduce Andrew Goodwillie. He's a trustee from South Nyack, and he's going to tell us a little bit about their experiences with community choice aggregation, and then him and Mr. Jeff Domansky are more than willing to answer any questions, and we're happy as the committee to follow up with any of the concerns you have or follow-up questions if we have to go research something and find out for you. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to Andrew.
Thank you. Just so you know, this microphone is hooked up with the TV, and it doesn't broadcast in here, but it broadcasts to the right now.
Well, thanks a lot for having me, for inviting me. My name is Andrew Goodwillie, and as Mindy said, I'm a trustee in the village of South Nyack. I also chair the South Nyack Climate Smart Task Force, so I am involved usually with a number of the environmental issues. So many of us get flyers in the mail or calls on the telephone, or people knocking on our door asking us to sign up for renewable energy. And we look at the flyers, we look at the letters, and I've got one right here, and it looks great on the front, but when you turn it over and look at the contract on the back, there's all this fine print, and I have a PhD, and I have a real hard time understanding some of these things in here. So when you look at these contracts, they're not written for the benefit of individuals. They're generally written on behalf of the companies to benefit the company. And so I've long wondered, what can we do to get renewable energy? Because most of us know it's the right thing to do. There are many reasons to do that. And community choice aggregation is one way to do that. But let me just say, as an individual, I don't have much leverage and much negotiating power when I want to get renewable energy. If I look at these contracts, they're not written with my interests at heart. They're written on behalf of the companies. If I do some searching on the computer, I can get rates as an individual of about 8.6 cents per kilowatt hour, which is a little bit above O&R's historical rate of about 7.1 cents. And that difference is the premium that I as an individual have to pay to go with one of these companies. And the problem with these companies that supply the electricity is they're called retail ESCOs, retail energy service company providers, electricity providers. And these companies tend to have fairly hardball tactics. They will try and get you into one of these contracts. And I have a neighbor who called me and said, I just got locked into a 20-year contract for renewable energy with a $600 termination fee. 20 years. It's like crazy. And there are other ones where you get the letter and you look at the rate and you're like, this is a great rate for renewable energy. I'm going to sign up. But when you look at the details of the contract, it turns out that's just for the first month. And then the rate goes way up after that and you have no leg to stand on. So a few years ago, the New York State Legislature passed some laws as part of the Rev 2030, which is the revising the energy vision program to redo how electricity generation and energy is looked at in the state. And one of those aspects is the establishment of the CCA program that you mentioned, this community choice aggregation. And it's a confusing phrase, CCA, but the key word in it is aggregation. And what it allows municipalities to do is they, on behalf of their residents, can pool the buying power of all the accounts, the customers in their village or town, and use that buying power to get the economy of scale. So what we've done down in the southern part of Rockland County is we have 6 municipalities as part of this aggregation. There are 4 villages and 2 larger towns. And we have roughly 36,000 accounts. So instead of one person trying to find a good rate for renewable energy, we have 36,000 people or accounts. And with that, we work with the program administrator, and the program administrator is able to go out for bid. And instead of using the retail energy service companies, they go to the wholesale markets. They cut out the middleman. They cut out the people who do all the hardball sales. And on the wholesale market, it's much easier. The program administrator says, we've got 36,000 accounts. This is the amount of electricity that's been used over, say, the past year. What is your best price for renewable energy that you can give to us? And only give us a bid if it's going to be at least as cheap as the O&R trailing historical rate. So we went through this process. As a municipality, if you want to go this route, it's very simple what you have to do. You just pass a local law that allows the establishment of a CCA program, and the program administrators that you can work with have templates. It's a very simple resolution. And then that starts the ball rolling. The program administrator will try to work with different municipalities to get different villages and towns to sign up for this, and the more the merrier, basically. And once you have that sweet spot of 15,000, 20,000 accounts, somewhere in there, they go out for bid. So once the bids come in, the municipalities look at those bids in conjunction with the program administrator and decide which is the one that offers the best choices here. So when we went out to bid, we ended up with 2 bids that we considered, and both were very competitive. And one was with a very long established company, and another was a relatively new company. And we ended up choosing the long established company for various reasons. But what I liked as a trustee, working on behalf of residents, is the villages had input into this process. So we work collaboratively with the program administrator who works on our behalf, and the program administrator gets paid by whichever company is chosen to supply the electricity. So the program does not cost the village or town any money, and the beauty of it is there's no contract that the residents have to sign. So those contracts, like the one I just showed you with all the fine print, that disappears. The contract is held between the village and the program administrator, and the village and the supplier that's chosen, and between the program administrator and the supplier. So it's a 3-way contract that's above the level of residence. So the contracts are written by the municipal attorneys in conjunction with the program administrators. There's no termination fee. You can go in and out of the program as many times as you want with no penalty. That's the beauty of it. So all those negatives that you have as an individual just melt away. So we're in the middle of the program implementation, and it's right as we speak, people are being rolled into it, and it's going to start for everybody in our area on the 1st of December. So our next billing cycle will be our first one that has the full renewable energy. And it can apply to residents and small businesses. So in your town, that might be an important factor, where small business owners may want to get renewable energy, but they can't get a good rate, but through the community choice aggregation program, you can. So one note on the program administrators, when we first started looking at this, we got a call out of the blue from an administrator company, and they met with us and we asked them all kinds of questions, and we just didn't feel that company was right, that it had its our interests in place. It just wanted to get the business and move on. So we ended up, like the other 5 municipalities, going with dual administration, dual assets. And I know Jeff is related to Jewel, and we found them amazing as partners for municipalities. Every team member at Jewel is willing to answer our questions, and I'm a very analytical person, and when the CCA program came up, the deputy mayor and I were both very analytical, sat down with the folks from Jewel, and we said, what's the catch here? It sounds too good to be true. And we asked probably 2 hours worth of questions, and there is no catch. From a municipal perspective, it's a great way for a town or village to act on behalf of residents and literally overnight turn a whole town or village over to renewable energy. And the source we chose is sourced within New York State. So it's providing local green jobs. So it's a win-win for everybody from what we can tell. And we got a rate that is just slightly below the what's called the trailing 24-month average that O&R offered us. So that's the program that we signed up for, and we have, in my village, which is relatively small, 814 accounts, so it's one of the smallest parts of this aggregation, and only 4 people chose not to participate. So that's a pretty good run rate. And in other communities where it's been implemented, people who said, oh, I'm not sure about this, I'm going to opt out of it, typically end up going back into it when they realize that it's a really good program where it's been done for the benefit of residents. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I don't know if Jeff's going to speak now, but that's my perspective from a municipal representative, that the CCA came along. It's a great change in the New York State laws that allow this program to take place, and it allows the municipality to act on behalf of residents. And in my day job as an earth scientist, I'm thrilled that we can do this on behalf of residents.
I have just one question. This is the town of Highlands. You got the village of Highland Falls. Would the village have to pass a law also, or would they be included in the town of Highlands?
My understanding is any separate government entity that wants to be part of this has to pass its own local law.
Okay.
So in my area, South Nyack is part of Orangetown, and Orangetown has its own laws that were passed to enable it to be participate in this.
Is Orangetown part of yours?
Yes, as is Clarkstown.
And just one comment, what I like about what you've said tonight, going back years ago, I did one of those switch things, and I saw their rates were much cheaper than ours in Rockland. You'd be stupid not to do this, right? So less than a year later, their rates were higher than ours in Rockland. So I said, okay, I want out. Cost me $100 to get out. Yeah. So it's the way you described it, you can go in and out, no penalties, no nothing. That's an absolute plus.
Yeah, I will say that the program is, that's a really good point that I forgot to say. Thank you. That it's a do-nothing program. If you do nothing, you will become part of this. It actually takes effort to opt out of it if you don't want to be part of it. So that's the beauty. So you just tell the community, or you poll the community and see if everyone thinks it's a good idea, and say, okay, we're going to do this, and you don't have to worry about it. It will just happen. And we get letters from O&R saying that the switch has been made. And we have the program administrator does a lot of outreach, education and outreach. So they're obligated by the Public Service Commission to hold, I think, at least 2 public workshops in each municipality that participates. And I know Jeff's been in these, and they're great. Anyone can show up and ask any questions and have all their fears smoothed away. So I highly recommend the program.
Bob, I'd just like to add a couple things. In September of a year ago, Mr. Dumansi, did I say your last name right, Jeff?
That's right,
Who also sponsors an organization called Green Drinks. I've gone to a couple other things. He came here with the committee that Cindy and Olga are on. June Gunza was here, June Patterson was here. There was quite a few people in attendance. And made a presentation of which I sent the entirety of that presentation to the board. So you're meeting the person that made that presentation. And Olga and I, sometime in the last year, I want to say it was last winter sometime, went to the Suffern Library and heard Michael Gordon of Jewel, I think he's their CEO if I'm not
Correct.
mistaken, speak in the Suffern Library about that, and I think I forwarded that information. And when Mindy made that very good presentation past, Richie brought up the fact that, like what you just said, if you want to opt out, there is a process to that. It's not bureaucratic per se or whatever. You said 4 people out of 815 opted out?
Yeah.
Okay, and that was not difficult for them to opt out?
No, you literally go on the computer or just call up or fill in the little card and send it back and that's it.
Yeah. And other people have heard us talk about, I've learned a great deal of this, and if I'm speaking in error, I have a couple experts that can correct me. This green energy upstate doesn't have enough grid to get down here, if I'm understanding correctly. So that's part of this Champlain Hudson line that's going in, which is a DC line going directly into Hudson with some stops along the way. I believe there's a couple of stops in Rockland County for that line that people are going to be hooking onto to be able to have more access to that energy. If anything I just said is incorrect, please correct me. So I like the idea of it. I've met Michael Gordon and Jewel, and I forget the organization you presented on behalf of, Jeff. It was mostly Westchester County municipalities.
No, Westchester is completely separate.
Okay.
The way Jewel wants to go above and beyond the state requirements of what CCA does, and so their model is to include a local nonprofit as the program manager, and that's my organization. It's Hudson Valley Energy, and we're doing the program that is 10 communities in Central Hudson Territory and supporting the Rockland Community Power Program, and we lead the outreach, awareness, and education efforts, and customer care. We do all the phone answering and just responding to every concern that's out there. So that's my role.
And regarding the customer care, I will say that the feedback we've had in Village Hall is that the residents who have called with any questions that they've had about the CCA program have been really overwhelmed by the quality of the answers that they receive from the people on the helpline. That's a good testament to the quality of the staff who implement this.
When you say the village hall, you mean your village hall?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think everybody knows this now. When this first started, the town of Highlands has 14 different accounts with Orange and Rockland. We're not talking about those 14 accounts. We're talking about all the people, maybe there's 3,000 of them, I don't know, that have accounts within the town of Highlands, outside the village of Highland Falls at this time, having the opportunity to do this.
And in our area, our village is going to switch its accounts into the CCA once we have a contract currently with another provider, but once that expires, we'll just roll into the CCA.
And if I may make a comment as well, I'll speak loud enough so that they can hear me. It just occurred to me something that you mentioned about the accounts, the homeowners, or say the renters in the area. I've been a renter my entire adult life, except for 1 or 2 places I've moved with the military where we actually own the house. And I've always wanted alternative energy, and I can't though, because we always asked our homeowner, we'll pay for it. Can we put solar panels on your house and we'll leave them when we go? And every homeowner we've rented from has said, no, we don't want you to. But now if I'm a renter and I'm paying the electric bill, now I can have that choice, and we have an awful lot of renters in this area, so that would be a benefit that we could bring alternative energy choices to renters as well as to homeowners.
Questions, anybody?
Well, very good presentation. Thank you for coming.
Rich, you got anything?
Thank you.
Anybody else?
We
Jim?
appreciate your time. Thank you.
I guess, and I apologize but what would be the next step? I mean, so this is a great presentation, great information, and maybe you all have talked about that, but I sort of think, what is the next step?
Sure, so as we understand it, and you correct me if I'm wrong, the first step would be to pass a resolution to allow CCAs to be created. And then a few other villages and towns would also have to do a similar thing. So it's going to take some time to aggregate. But if we pass a resolution, then we could potentially join an existing CCA or move forward on like creating a brand new one. But the first step, the next step is to pass a resolution to allow. It doesn't mean we're deciding to do it yet. The first one would be
Just to
allow.
play on words, resolution, local law is what
No,
we
right, so what she's talking about is the first step is a resolution.
Okay.
Right, it's non-binding, as Mindy just said, indicating a willingness, a desire, right? Then as you get into the process, you do a local law, allowing it, structuring it, having a public hearing, allowing for comments from your public. At that point, you could also talk about the opt-out process and how easy that is, right? Allay fear. And then it's, again, whether you want to build, right, larger than just Highlands, whether you want to talk to Highland Falls, Stony Point, whatever the case may be, other local municipalities that might have the aggregation increase.
May I just add to that? Just-
Sure, of
So,
course.
yeah, so step one
You're the
is-
expert.
Step one is passing a local law. Every municipality must pass a local law. Step two is choosing the way to administer the program. And that's where you might choose to go with an existing approved. You have to be an administrator. You have to have an approved administration plan in New York State. And there's 4 organizations that do right now. One is in Westchester and staying in Westchester. One was the organization that Andrew had referred to, that they operate across the state. Jewel is another one. And then there's one that's just working upstate. But there are 4, well, 3. Well, really in this area, just 2 potential administrators. And then it is a matter of finding the aggregation. And I just wanted to add that it's a perfect timing. This is where I sound a little pushy, but there are, we're in conversation with a number of communities. So there is an aggregation forming right now, which is wonderful. I can say Gardner, Rhinebeck, Saugerties are nearly official. They've all passed the local laws and have selected the Jewel team to go forward. And there are several other communities that it's a little too early to say, but it is just about imminent. So there's no work that the town would have to do for finding an aggregation. It's happening, so it's a wonderful time. Thank you.
And the local law is rather straightforward, but you do have to have your public hearing.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Mindy, thank you. Gentlemen, thank you very much. We appreciate you coming down here.
Thank you.
Up here. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And to get out, you can just go down the stairs and out the door. It opens out, but you couldn't get back in.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
That was a very good presentation. Very plain, you understood everything you were talking about.
I think at this point, everybody has a pretty fundamental understanding of what it's all about.
And there probably are people like me that got burnt and would worry about that. But the ease in and out, that would sell me. It would sell me.
Yeah, and again, like all principles where you have a mass of people, right? That's the benefit. So it's not an individual that can be taken advantage of, right? It's all being vetted community-wide.
Yeah, I've been approached by other companies, and I just give them an example. Hey, you burnt me once, you're not going to get me again. Okay. Kelly, you doing all right over there with minutes? You got a recorder, or are you just writing?
Well, we have the,
Oh, okay.
recording.
Okay.
And taking notes. We'll see.
All right. We don't have the minutes of our last meeting because of the problems down in the town clerk's office currently, we didn't get them sent to us. I don't think you got any, did you?
No.
No. Yeah, I checked with June, and she told me that apparently Leslie didn't get around to sending them out. So we'll approve them at the next meeting. Communications, I have a letter from the Grants Coordinator, Orange County Planning Department in Goshen. And I'll just cut it up a little bit here. The Orange County has received a military installation resiliency grant funded by the Department of Defense, Office of Economic Adjustment. Now, they're going to focus on the resiliency of the energy supply to the USMA at West Point and its surrounding communities. So they're setting up this committee. It's going to start meeting in December, and I've asked our newly elected councilman, Jim Modlin, to at least start out with me going to this, and we'll report back to the board as to exactly what it amounts to. The town board had an executive session just prior to this meeting where we had a discussion on how to replace our retiring judge and our resignation in the planning board. I think we came up with a solution, but right now it's too early to announce to the public exactly what we're doing.
Just a clarification. I think you said planning board when you meant building department.
I'm sorry, I guess I did. Thank you. We sent out to the personnel in the building. This email is to inform you that the town clerk has tested positive for COVID-19. As I work in close proximity with June, I must now quarantine. Therefore, the town clerk's office is closed, and it'll be closed until further notice. Also be advised by the supervisor, Livesey, and the Orange County Board of Health that the building has also been closed to the public. All other offices are advised to sit tight and work their normal scheduled hours until further notice. If you have any questions, please contact the supervisor. So things have been going pretty smoothly. We've got the door locked, got telephone numbers on the door. Bills can be paid in the drop box outside the door. And hopefully June Patterson will be back the 1st of December or thereabouts. So and we'll get back to normal. I don't think there's any more normal. Normals are out the window. We have new normals, old normals, some normals, but they're out the window. I have a letter from, put my glasses on. This letter is to inform you that I resign my position as Building Inspector 3 effective Monday, November the 23rd. After careful consideration, I have decided to rejoin the ranks of my previous employer. Working for the town of Highlands has afforded me many valuable opportunities to learn and grow. I am grateful for the experience. I wish to thank you and the other members of the town board for the faith you had in me by selecting me as a candidate for this position. If I can help you in any way with loose ends, please do not hesitate to contact me. Best regards, John Zazak. I'll ask for a motion to accept the resignation.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Thank you. Received a letter from the engineering company by the name of OSPA. They are the engineering company that is going to do the work to make the Bear Mountain Bridge all electronic toll. So they want to do they want to be the lead agency for CEQA on the project, and they wanted me to sign a letter saying it was okay with me, and it most certainly is. So I already signed it and sent it back to them. If anybody is interested, there's a whole bunch of maps and the explanation of the project. You might want to look through it. The sick leave, I've sent this out to our employees, but New York employers must now provide sick leave for any employee who is subject to a mandatory or precautionary order of quarantine or isolation issued by the state of New York, Department of Health, the local Board of Health, or any governmental entity duly authorized to issue such an order due to COVID-19. Agencies your size are required to provide 5 days of sick leave and must be provided without loss from an employee's accrued sick leave. So, for example, we just had somebody out for 14 days, which 10 would be working days, so 5 days would go to his sick leave. Okay. Liaison reports. Councilman Sullivan?
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. So you read off the resignation of our building inspector, Mr. Zajac. In the sewer, I talked to Jimmy today and actually saw him. We have a couple of pump stations where the automatic dialers are no longer functional. I messed with them, he messed with them, the people working for him messed with them. So we had Tam today come and replace the one at Corbin Hill. And the one down at Overlook, I think they're having trouble with, but the other ones are okay. The one down at Old Oak. And I think, I'm gonna guess they're about $800. We have to have them. Since he's been in charge, they're very good about checking these stations. There haven't been too many problems. But when there are, it's essential that the dialer respond so people can come. So that, I believe, is fully taken care of as of today. I met Al Fusco's new person, who I'm going to say is probably his project manager down at the sewer plant, Jerry. Kelly was there. I met him in town hall today. And as I was showing everybody before, Ty wasn't here. The new building, the belt press foundation is up. There's going to be a building on it. I have to look at the plans before I understand it better. He wants me to select a color for it. So if anybody wants to jump in, we wanted to try and stay with what's down there. There's a hot pink if anybody wants me to choose that one. So I'll look through these. I'll send an email out saying, is everybody okay with this? And that'll be happening very soon. So I met with him, and that's my report on the sewer. The ZBA met last
Before
week.
you get off the sewer,
Yeah.
just from my experience, the pump stations, if those phones aren't working right and it overflows and starts going down on the ground, we're in deep trouble with DEC.
Absolutely.
So that's extremely important to have those phones working.
And they're built. I don't want to get too much into things that I can't, that may be a subject of controversy. They were built for the district as it was designed back in 1984 and 5 when they built it out. We now have an outside user contributing sometimes 30,000 gallons a day going into a couple of those pump stations, one then the next. So it's all the more important to make sure we respond because they fill up quick. And then one of them has a resident that it's behind his house that always calls us. He's very good about it. The other one down at Old Oak, we depend upon that dialer if anything goes wrong. But the one at 9W is now rectified, so I think that's all under control.
The old Oak one was one that almost went over. It was
Yeah.
right on up to the top.
Yeah. So that one's functional. The generator down there is a discussion for another day. That's original, might need to be replaced, but the auto dialer is working. Last Wednesday, the Zoning Board of Appeals had its monthly meeting. They granted a variance for a sign up at Chipotle. And I'm glad to say that I think that they're probably going to get the month of December off. They had a long, hard year. And I just want to thank them for all the effort they put in, especially they go full virtual. Kelly, I think, did you host the last one, Kelly? No?
No, I didn't.
But Kelly's been involved with that. There's a lot of work involved to get the documents online, to post it on the website, to make sure people can log in. They've done a wonderful job without hardly any glitches, so I'm very pleased with that. In the Water District, I know Pat Patterson is back to work. I talked to him today. And I'd like to thank the people in the Water District. Usage is down about 20 to 25%. People are compared to a year ago, because I have a couple years worth of numbers to look at. So they are conserving. I'm not sure the level of bog meadow. Sometimes Mary Jane's here to tell us. So we're still in what I call the state of emergency. Have they declared that for?
They have declared it, and as far as I know, we're still in that.
Okay,
state
so
of
we're still under that. So I would ask people to please continue to ration. And finally, I see Mindy's gone, but Cindy's here. The Community Environmental Advisory Committee met in Town Hall on Friday the 13th. We discussed community choice aggregation, the speakers that will be coming here tonight, a charging station for behind Town Hall, if that ever happens with everything going on. I know that's on the back burner. And we discussed a lot of things which are usual, one of which being refuse and recycling. Like, it's out of control. A couple of years ago, recycling was free. And then the county started charging, I think, $20 a ton more than where we go to Beacon. And I forget the name of the place in Beacon, it's in my notes. That has gone from $76 a ton up to what is now $99 a ton. As far as municipal solid waste, if we were to use Orange County, they're now at about $115 a ton. As you know, we're going to Rockland County. I think it's somewhere in the low 80s, if I'm not mistaken, meaning your recycling is costing more per ton than your municipal solid waste. So when we meet and try and have people encouraged to recycle, to do it the right way, if they're going to produce tonnage, it's penalizing us financially to do so. I'm not really sure. Something at higher levels of government has to be done about it. 25 years ago, everybody talked about this whole new industry. There's going to be jobs created. It's going to be wonderful. That didn't happen. So it's a mess. And that's my report.
Save the planet, right?
Pardon me?
Recycling, save the planet.
It was going on barges to other countries is all that was happening. So,
Councilman King.
Yes, good evening, everyone, and good evening, everyone at home. I don't have a lot this evening. I'm going to read from this paper here shortly. But the first thing I wanted to talk about from the emergency management standpoint is about the rise in COVID-19 cases, if you're not aware. So we got throughout the state of New York and the county of Orange and the town of Highlands, some numbers are going up. So tonight I wore this as a way to kind of emphasize, this would have been a cool idea if it was the right size. This is a kid size. So the thing was supposed to be adult size and come all the way down, because obviously this creates a barrier just like this plexiglass does, and it's a pretty good way to keep yourselves safe if you get the right size. So I use that just to emphasize that we got to be on top of our game. We got to continue to do what we've did in those early stages: social distance, wash your hands frequently. When you don't have water and soap, then you obviously use your hand sanitizer. And then mask up, people, please. Whether you think it's cool or not cool, sometimes it's difficult to breathe and all those types of things. What we do know scientifically that it helps protect lives. So enough of that. I will also say from the town of Highlands Recreation for Seniors, we have some events coming up with protocols in place for fighting the spread of COVID-19, of course. One is Penny Social, Saturday, December 5th at Holy Innocents Fellowship Hall at 4 p.m. The second one is Holiday Bazaar, Saturday, December 19th at American Legion Hall, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then there's some stuff that's happening around the county that you may want to take advantage of to get out of the house. There's a drive-through holiday light spectacular, Orange County Fairgrounds in Middletown. a unique light displays and animated segments multimedia light show. The car, you need a car pass to participate in this, and the car passes are on sale now for $20. And that's while they last. So if you're interested in that, you might want to go ahead and jump on it. You can go to orange-countyfair.com to purchase these passes. This light spectacular will go from November 27th to December 17th. And then it's Thursday through Sunday. And then again from December 17th to January 3rd, and there's shows daily. Moving on, we got the 11th Annual Bethel Woods Holiday Market, November 28th through the 29th, December 5th through the 6th. That's in Bethel Woods Center for the Arts. Different selection of vendors each weekend. And then Washingtonville, our neighbors down the street, have a Christmas parade, December 5th, and the lineup is at 4 p.m. The step-off is 6 p.m. It starts at Vern Allen Park. And last but not least, Watts Christmas Wonderland, November 27th to December 27th, 310 Scotchtown Road, Goshen, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., $5 per car is the donation. $5 per car load. And that is WattChristmasWonderland.com. You can find them on Facebook. So again, we want to share this type of information. Maybe people are cooped up in the house, they need to get out and get some rest and relaxation or something. So we want to share this kind of information. That's all I got this evening.
Thank you. Yeah, Councilman Perry.
Nothing unusual. I, again, would like to thank all the municipal employees for all the hard work that they have been doing in maintaining the necessary services for the community. I would like to echo also the comments earlier about, us, everybody trying to maintain and conserve as much water as we can. I'd just like to note that in the New York Times, you always have a page where they list the level of the New York City reservoirs, and even they are below normal. I don't think they've reached the critical point, but for some reason this year, we haven't gotten the water that we would like to have, so, but that's all I have. Thank you.
Just recently, there was a fire in Highland Falls, and one of our retired employees, Jack Stevens, was unfortunately, it was his house, the house he was living in, and if anyone would like to help him and his family out, on our Facebook page, right on the town Facebook page, we have a website that you can go to where you can help him out with meals, and also at the town garage, the town secretary, the town garage secretary is taking a monetary collection if anyone is interested. I did declare a state of emergency a few days ago. I declared it way back in March or April or whatever have you, and we went on with the governor for quite a while, and then I kind of didn't renew the state of emergency, but now that we're going into this second wave, I think it's about time that we start tracking all of our expenses, our COVID expenses and what have you. So I declared another state of emergency, which will be 30 days. Now I'll probably renew it again. I honestly, I hope I do not have to renew it again. I hope 30 days from now, there's no reason for it, but unfortunately, that's being too optimistic. Chief, do you have anything for us?
Just, I guess, traffic. So we've been monitoring Mine Road, and we've ceased that operation. Nothing that was brought out in that letter has seemed to be a hazard to us. We'll continue to patrol there, but at one point we had 4 daily patrols and 1 stationary. Continuing on the firefighters, which we're very happy with the sign and the no parking area. It seems to give more visibility, and we continue to have our patrols there. And it's that time of year again, obviously with the holidays, and we're going to be out on weekends, stop PWI patrol, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays as well. We'll be out for this holiday weekend. Hopefully everybody's home by 10, but we'll be out and about. That's about it. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Kelly, do you have anything?
No, we don't.
before I ask for a motion to adjourn, this week, Thanksgiving, Thursday, with all the problems we're having with 2020, you can probably think of a lot of things that you're not thankful for. But if you just sit around the table and look at your family and your life, I think there's a lot to be thankful for. We're having our problems, we're working them out, and the thanks can go to everybody, our families, our governor, our president, right on down the line to everyone. So I thank the town board for what they do, and I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion. Second.
Okay, on the motion, the town board like to say anything?
Yes. To caveat what you were saying about being thankful, first I want to say, yes, keep the Stevens family in your prayers, but also that was a duplex that caught fire, and the other side was the Van Hoven family, who is a veteran and also government workers at West Point. So both of those families were impacted. Their homes were essentially lost to the fire, their belongings. But what I've seen is a big outpouring from the community at large that's really looking after them, and I please ask you to continue to do that. Secondly, if there's anybody out there that is in need of food during these holidays or beyond, just know that there's a lot of resources in the community. One, Holy Innocents has a food pantry. If I'm not mistaken, Sacred Heart has one. We give out, meaning the town, through our recreation director, every Thursday, food. Last week was a ton of food given out, and turkeys to be included, anywhere between 50 and 70, I think it was. So don't go hungry out there for lack of asking for help, because there's a lot of resources. You can contact the center, Ann Molina. You can contact any one of us up here. Certainly you can contact me. But just know that I just saw yesterday, I think it was the Flynn family raised, had a lot of food come in for donations. There are plenty of resources. So please, as you're going out there and trying your best to make it through these challenging times, no one should be going hungry in the town of Highlands.
Anyone else?
So just obviously thankful, and I want everybody to be happy. My father was a pretty uncomplicated man, and he gave me a gift. He taught me how to be content no matter what the world around you has to present. So I would suggest to people to follow an example like that, to enjoy what's around you. We will work through our problems, and we'll be stronger in the end. And everybody have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.